Hello. Welcome to the Yoga for the Creative Soul book club, to your weekly workshop with me, Erin Byron. So glad you're here. Whether live every Wednesday at 12:30 Eastern or watching the video afterwards, please feel welcome to share images and comments below. Today, we're continuing to work our way through chapter 8 of Yoga for the Creative Soul, which is the chapter on um, on Bhakti yoga and how can we apply our emotional nature to our creative process and our creative self. And in the last couple of few weeks, we've been acknowledging the way people on this bhakti path, and most of us are at least a little bit on the bhakti path of yoga, how we can maintain our self-soothing, maintain our groundedness, maintain our connection to joy. So if we think about bhakti yoga as the path of the heart, this is what the chapter is called, From the Heart, then what we know about heart associations is certainly there is the association of grief at the heart, of emotionality, but also associations of devotion, of joy, which is a spiritual quality, a bhavana, a state of joy is often associated with that heart center as well. So although people on the bhakti path may feel things more deeply, that might also give them greater access to joy. Um, so people who are dominant on this bhakti path would tend to be emotional, be very sensitive in that perceptive kind of way, able to get a read on what's going on energetically or non-verbally. So some people might call that being empathic. I do have a 100-hour training coming up in 2023 for folks who do a lot of work with empaths, which would include trauma survivors and people living with other mental health conditions, as well as just for our own education and self-protection. Specifically linked through yoga, through mental health, and also through the empirical evidence that's coming out on this topic. So there are things going on in the brain and the nervous system. So if we leverage that, then if we leverage what's going on with the brain, with the nervous system, with our energy and our sensitivity gifts, then this bhakti path gives us access to a steady kind of devotion. And yoga doesn't tell us what to be devoted to. Yoga is a philosophy, not a religion. Yoga is could be thought of as a skeleton of religion, where the specific religion provides the flesh, the muscles, the organs of its own philosophy. But yoga itself, non-religious. So what are we devoted to? Well, that's personal choice. And also gives us greater access to love, greater access to sharing, greater access to human connection, which we know also has its own place in the brain, associated with being present, associated with stability, associated with self-reflection and access to uplifted or balanced mood states. The thing is, if we haven't yet learned or practiced yoga or meditation, unburdening ourselves through expressive arts, then being a bhakti type, being more strongly emotional, leads to a person being more easily hurt, or to protect from hurt can lead to a person being numbed out, going cold, becoming rigid, or more like an automaton than a full human. That's a very sad thing, that if we dig into it from a mental health perspective, that reads a lot like the symptoms of depression, where we're having trouble accessing enjoyment in life, taking interest in things that used to interest us, finding the energy to act on our own behalf. So as we continue our yoga practice, we have access to tools like mantras and affirmations, the way we talk to ourselves, we have the ethical codes, which help us moderate how we're thinking and perceiving reality. Meditation itself changes the size, the structure of certain brain areas, and relaxes us, relaxes the nervous system, and gives us greater access to a feeling of peace. So even if our emotions are thrown out of balance, we have access to self-soothing. And there, as we are allowing our feelings to flow, and remember that acknowledging feelings is not the same as acting upon feelings. So we welcome the truth of our emotions, we hold them lightly, so we're not dwelling on them if possible, and we get the information from that feeling. But sometimes if we were to act on our feelings rather than sit with them and get the information, that's what causes some issues. So it's not the fact that a feeling exists, it's unhealthy or harmful ways we might respond to that emotion that's problematic. So that just brings us back to yoga, right? So witness the emotion with neutrality, let it pass through, self-soothing, movement, relaxation. And as we work with our emotions, we gain deeper and deeper access to creative feeling, to inspiration, to insight, to freedom, to be who we truly are, guided by those emotions, not interfered with, guided by. And so for today's practice, we're going to move into a relaxation, and then we shall express that relaxation in our expressive arts activity. If you haven't moved around much today, it's always nice for us to start our meditations, visualizations, relaxations with some movement. So I encourage you just to give yourself that movement. Do a typical warm-up that you know is enjoyable for you. Get in those 5 directions of the spine, lengthening the spine, forward and backward bending, side bending and twisting. And by moving through all of those directions of the spine, you've given yourself a full warm-up. You could imagine that you have created space in all directions between all those sets of vertebrae. And by nourishing the spinal column, have perhaps also downregulated your nervous system and created a more hospitable environment there within yourself. So we're just giving you time to make those movements in your own way, trusting your body. And if you've been practicing yoga for quite some time, you will become attuned to how the body wants to express itself kinesthetically. What does it need? What shape does it need in order to let go of attention it may be holding? What wants to stretch? What wants to flex? What wants to release? And just trusting that. Trusting your body, trusting yourself. And what's happening with your breath while you go through these movements? Is there room to deepen it? Is your body looking for more assertive inhales to energize? longer, slower exhales to relax. And when you change your breathing, does that change the kind of movements that your body's asking for? Does that change your feeling? The famous movie quote taught us to trust our feelings, engage the force through that trust. It's a great deal of information about enlightenment, the nature of reality for a bhakta does come through their feelings. So as you put the finishing touches on your movement practice today, give yourself that opportunity to sense, feel, and then settle into a comfortable position for relaxation. If you're already on the ground, maybe you'll do a little inversion first, just dangling your arms and legs up into the air and reversing the flow of gravity, reversing circulation, starling effect, where blood simply drains to the heart rather than the heart needing to pump it back against gravity. And for a reclined relaxation pose, we may be in Shavasana on the back with the feet about 1 meter apart, toes rolling to the outsides, arms well away from the sides of the body, palms up. In recent weeks, we've done a more self-protective position, crossing the elbows over the center of the chest and letting the hands dangle down the opposite sides, bending and tenting the knees together. Or you can go into an even more protective mode, belly down, crocodile posture, creating a cushion for your forehead or for your cheek with your hands if you're down on your abdomen. So we're looking for soothing the emotions, soothing the nervous system, quieting the impacts of those emotional sensitivities. And some people will want to cover up with a blanket to create more space, or sorry, more of a barrier between the body and the external environment. And even piling some pillows on the limbs or the torso, or pulling out your heavy blanket or heavy jacket can bring that much more soothing to the nervous system. And we're holding that intention together of breathing, soothing, calming, protecting. We are cultivating ease and safety. And from that perspective, you can mindfully check in with the body. Is there anything else it's looking for right now for comfort? Is your position okay? If you're finding tension, is it all right to let that tension go a little bit more? Breathing out the fingers and toes away on the breath, filtered through the earth, or washed away by the wind. Notice the breath, notice the thoughts. Notice the feelings also that are flowing through awareness, passing emotions often connected to thoughts. But beyond all of this, body, breath, thoughts, feelings. Beyond all of this is that connection to who you truly are. You may actively invite the presence of your higher self into your body. Just like that, I invite the presence of my true self into my being. And you don't have to do anything to make that happen. You don't even have to fully understand what that means. And there is your authentic self, filling your breath, filling your cells, coloring those thoughts and feelings. And we'll bring our awareness more completely to the moment we are in right now. Just affirm for yourself how good it feels to rest. Nothing is required of you right now. You don't have to go anywhere, answer to anyone. This is your time for you. Not even your muscles need to put forth an effort right now. All you have to do is be the you of this moment. All you have to do is let the body rest where it is right now. Exhale by exhale, layer by layer. The shell falls away. It no longer serves you in body, energy, thought, or feeling. Falls away. And if unprocessed emotions kick up, if lists come to mind, if you're carried back to past situations or into the future, things that haven't happened yet, just know that those surges of busyness are a sign that the mind and body are unwinding the stresses. We wind ourselves up around stresses sometimes and hold them. Having those things come through while you're in a relaxation, although it may be uncomfortable, is a sign of letting go. And all you have to do with that is hold your intention to be present, your intention not to act, letting the unwinding happen, and trusting that these energies are flowing to earth, to sky, to a nearby candle or body of water, neutralized, cleansed, transformed. Breath by breath, soothing yourself with this position, with this time, with this relaxation that is just for you. And this relaxation, you can think of this as an unwinding or letting go activity that helps you process those intense feelings without playing into them. So we're not engaging the lists, the memories, the planning. We're acknowledging the mind and nerves unwinding, and we're letting go. Letting go. This kind of activity teaches the mind, the emotions, the nervous system to stay relaxed, even in the face of uncomfortable emotions. Even if the mind starts to get busy with thoughts and feelings. Our intention is soothing, our intention is rest. You may revisit this practice and play with it on days that have been quite full, if there are intensities that you're carrying with you that you need to let go of, or if you know that you are predominantly of that bhakti path, that sensing, feeling, emotional path, this can just be part of your regular daily practice, your lunchtime or bedtime routine. Now, all practice is worthy. Anytime you hold this intention of witnessing without responding, of unwinding and letting go, brings you greater and greater access to steadiness and peace throughout your days. With as little disruption as possible, as it serves you, you can bring movement back to the body. Thanking yourself for making this time for you, appreciating how it feels different to move and stretch now, different now than it felt moments ago when you were in your movement practice. Trusting the speed the body wants to take, doing your best to be of low intensity as you move. And just really, really gently take yourself to your creative, expressive space. There are some options for how to depict this activity. You might decide to do a portrait, draw it as if you were on the outside. Draw yourself in that relaxation posture and depict the things that you were letting go of. And you might do this like a cartoon strip. First, it's you relaxing and all the emotions and busyness coming up. That's part of that unwinding practice. And then it's you letting it go to the earth, to the wind. And then it's you freed from those thoughts and feelings. A third option for this expressive activity is to dig into the things that you were letting go. Express what was coming out of you, beliefs, feelings, fears, thoughts, especially if they were repetitive, if there was a bit of a fixation or compulsion to the feel of those thoughts, then you can express it out on paper and then do something with that page. So it's where we were letting the earth, the wind, the elements transform the thoughts, the energies, the feelings. We can make it much more tactile and present by getting it out of us onto a page. That feels really good. Then it's not just being carried around inside of us. And then destroy the page. That in and of itself, a meditation, a relaxation strategy. Well, we burn it in the fire pit or some other very, very safe fireproof place, or run it underwater and watch it just melt away, shred, or use our hands to shred it up, rip it into many, many little pieces and throw it in the recycling bin. No matter which of these three activities, depicting yourself relaxing from the outside, the comic strip of beginning, middle, and end of that relaxation journey, or just dumping out what had been reoccurring to you, whichever of those three activities you're engaged with, notice your breath while you're playing here, and Because the breath is often part of the expression in an expressive activity, you don't have to get yourself back to slow, deep breathing. That's not necessarily a part of this. It can be okay if we're witnessing to let the breath get stressed out, rapid, shallow. Just notice that that's happening. But the joy of the expressive activity is that you are then expressing that breath as well. What colors come into your expressive work with that breath? What speed of movement of your expression? What shapes? So your whole self is welcome, engaged in this process. And you, your witness, is noticing it. And you, your creator, is free with it. Free to express what is true for you, free to express what's coming up. You're very much encouraged to share with the group in the Facebook group. So we gain so much insight and inspiration from each other's journeys, from each other's efforts. There is a real gift to symbolizing an enlightenment path, a yoga journey through expressive arts, mental health recovery through expressive arts. So we'll go just another minute or two, putting the finishing touches on these expressions. I was remiss in not addressing this right at the beginning of our time together, but I do wish to acknowledge my privilege as a settler, as today I am on the lands of the Huron and the Algonquin, and often also coming to you from the territories along the Grand River, the Anishnawbe, Haudenosaunee, neutral people. I very much encourage you to look into the 94 calls to action to begin to unwind the deep harm and damage that were done to generations of the caregivers of these lands, which we occupy rent-free from the original peoples. Now, as we're here in our expressions and our feelings, I open the opportunity to those who have been live with us. And the link to join live is in the description below. You're welcome to jump in anytime. We'd love to have you here. For now, those who are live have the opportunity to share their expressive work or pass. Hey, Karen.
Hey, Erin. So I had this, I found myself, like we were talking a couple weeks ago, like I was planting thoughts in my mind, like as I was inviting my true self in, I was, starting to put a thought in there instead of letting something come to me, and then just kind of tried to go back to nothingness and an open space. And so I just had this vision, I think because there's farm fields over there, and I always love the wheat fields that that rising from inhabiting me on a energetic level was this beautiful glowing field of wheat. And you know how it just, when it moves in the sun, it's so soft and at ease. So that's what I saw, and then, or felt, that's what I felt really. And then letting go of something that doesn't serve me, I kind of took like a one-way sign, like the one way to happiness, and I turned it upside down. because that's a lot of the exploration I've been doing personally, and really allowing myself to find my own drummer and explore that area has been a lot of fun and interesting and so many things. And of course, it all happens here in Yoga for the Creative Soul, that I'm able to really pinpoint what's going on. And I'm so thankful and love you all.
Great reminders for us, Karen. Thanks. We love you too. So I take stillness of movement and cameras off in the field as passes. So I'm rating pass, 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 and oh.
Just, it's funny because I haven't, today during the practice, I'm still kind of foot hobbled. So getting in a different position, I just do what I can. But the quietness, I have not heard the quietness. And I heard a clock ticking, and I haven't heard a clock ticking for months. And I don't know if that's been my mind or just all the stuff that's been going on. But just having that sense of stillness and the clock was really grounding and just brought me into just the seasons and the seasonality that we're coming into. October is my favorite month, and I just love it. And the fall is so pretty. So I don't know, I'm nattering here, but I just felt, I don't know, just a calmness. And to hear that clock was really reassuring. So thank you.
Thanks, George. Beautiful. Yeah, that was the intention in the book. I think it's called Soothing Relaxation. So well said. Yes.
I'll go.
Hi, Kate.
Hi, my name is Kate. So
hi, Kate.
Sometimes I fall into that and it's accidental. So yeah, I was worrying a lot about my living situation while I was in my relaxation. That wasn't my intention. It just came up. And I just feel like there's a lot of things that need to be done in my house, and the lease is about to get redone, and he wants me to pay a whole lot more money. And I kept thinking, like, I should probably get all those things fixed if I'm going to stay here. Shouldn't he fix them? And so that started becoming this obsessive thought. So then my picture actually was like windows, because a big problem I have is I don't have storm windows, and it's really cold in my house in the wintertime. And so I just made some windows just to start. And because I thought of windows, I always think of windows too as like, please, like a window symbol to me is kind of like letting something go, like people say, like, their soul went out the window. And so I did some windows, but then I just came up with all these like squiggly lines. I just started just letting myself just kind of go a little bit. And I feel like I guess I really feel a lot like my expressive self is really important to me. And I think what came up for me too was, it's hard for me to find my true self if I'm not being true to myself. So I have to be careful with what I'm doing. Allowing my inner child to feel safe, I think, is really important. And when she doesn't feel safe, then, I get all jumbled up. So it was relaxing, but it was more insightful than anything. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. Good point. If you circle back to that relaxation in chapter 8 of Yoga for the Creative Soul, I'm talking to everybody now. You'll see that that's a cue. It says something like, where does it say it? Yuck. It actually says yuck. Step 3 is uncomfortable. So thanks, Kate, for a lived example of how that can come through, and yet the benefit that also arises. So thanks for those reminders, and a solid example of how we can support ourselves when that happens. Did anybody else want a chance to share while we're still in the recording? Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Click the link below on Wednesday around 25 after 12. Get in here, join us, share the fun. There's lots of stuff that happens off camera as well. And I very much appreciate your attention. Wishing everyone gentle hearts, balance, and access to joy.